Welcome to the start of a Europa Brutal run using the current beta of Stationeers. So difficulty is normal. We're going to set it to Brutal, make it a little more exciting on the startup. And it's prepping, and here we go. First thing I do is turn off my light, kind of organize a few items before we land. And here we go. So the first thing I do is, while we have light, is do some mining. And I kind of lucked out on this one. Right here, there's some gold, and we're going to mine all this out. Gold is a bit hard to find, so if you find it, especially early on, definitely spend the time to get it all. You notice that I'm speeding this up by 5x, so it's a little less annoying watching the video. Now I'm looking for where the container's at. So I'm hunting for useful ores while keeping a reference to the, we don't need that yet. Here's some coal. We don't need the coal. Now what we're looking for is the basics. Iron, copper, gold, and a little bit of silicon. If we just happen to come across it, we'll grab some of that. We won't go too crazy on it. Now, as I started mining, I actually found some iron in the same general area, so I kept on mining away. Normally, I would not spend that much time just on silicon on the early game here. So we'll milk all that iron while we have a chance. Yeah, I think I just passed some ice back there. Ice is one of those things that if you're looking for it, it's very difficult to find. There's some solder, which I'll have to find later on. Because of brutal mode, we need to get the things going here. But there are some ores I have to build the... specifically, what I want to do is get the electronic printer up and start kicking out wind turbines. So we found a nice deposit of copper here. And once again, if you see it kind of swirling around, I just sped up that section by 5x. I noticed the coloring sometimes. I haven't seen it always, but there are times where, like when I find a vein of copper, for example, you see sort of a greenish tint in the area. And just keep mining that out. I don't see it all the time, but I've been noticing. Maybe I just haven't been noticing it and thought it was just, the lighting effect. So now I seem to notice that more. I'm going to track it more. I really didn't put the pieces together until like episode 5 or so. Now what I'm doing is I'm dragging the, obviously dragging the case near the lander. The thought is that the lander open door, if you're facing the open door direction, it's quite visible. So I thought, well, if I had to go mining out in the dark, I would go mine in that direction. So the rear is to the facing door. So if I need to find my way back, I never actually did that. You also do start with a tablet and a tracker card. And if you record your coordinates when you start, you can always use that to find your way back. So my key initial concern is power. And this is in the way. Move it over a little bit. So I'm going to start with a small little platform just so I can get things going. Then I'll enlarge it a little later. And weld all this this up just enough so we can stand on it. We don't need to make it solid or anything at this point. So I've been, as I said, this is the beta version. I've been quite impressed. It's definitely an improvement. And a lot of little things here and there besides the terrain changes. And so now, because of power issues and the suit light consuming a lot of power, I am going to use flares to give me some lighting while I do stuff. Now I will flip my suit light on now and then, but for the most part I want to try to stay with the flares when possible. So we're opening up one of the starting packets. So I'm going to get that wind turbine up first thing. And I said we don't need to get too fancy. We just want to get things laid out quickly. And you get that wired up. You know, I really haven't found the solar all that useful. I used a very little because you have to manually adjust it. And it seems the days don't last that long. So I do muck with a little bit, but I don't have that much time to like babysit it. So if I'm sitting here idle, then I'll move it around a little bit. But for the most part, I leave it alone and don't utilize it all that much. I just focus on getting as many turbines up and running. And that seems to work, at least for me. Now it's been about a year since I've done any Stationeers, and I did start this Europa series. You know, did the first couple days a couple times just to see how it flows and see if I can remember how to do things. Get used to the keyboard again and the different controls. All right, so. In our next little packet, we have the basics. We have a furnace and a printer. And let's get this going. And everything else, it's best if plugged in. All right, so we're smelting. All right, while that's smelting, we do have all the parts for the printer. So we'll open that all up. And we'll weld, and then we'll use some cables. Now the obviously the flutter went out, but I'm not moving anywhere. And when you use a tool, it highlights the item, so I can see well enough to at least do this basics. And then crank open another flare. My style of play is to never take any damage, so no health damage, no lung damage. So I always have to, because of the coldness, I have to be in a controlled environment before I open up my helmet to drink or eat. That's actually not too bad to solve. Okay, we only need 2 gold to make the. So what I do is I rush to electronic printer, and with electronic printer, I can start making turbines, and just crank those out to get that power up. So here I am salvaging batteries, and definitely grab that tablet from the cargo it has a battery in it, so it's useful. And just kind of, I can spell print. And we'll get that going. Now, one thing I was able to do, maybe it worked before, but I swore before if you swap batteries during printing, it would interrupt it. At least that seems to work fine. So here I am expanding out the base a little bit while we're getting our electronic printer up and running. I'm going to snag that. Make sure we got enough power. So that single frame I have in the back, that will be my little room all set up for eating, drinking. In the retail version, the non-beta, I've never really liked Europa because I always had a heck of a time finding ore, and so it seemed to spend most of my time looking for ore. With the beta and the redesigned terrain, it's a bit easier, at least on this scenario, the basin, which is the first one of the choices. So keep everything going. We're going to do a little bit of silicon because we need that. We need 2 sheets of plastic. The other option is to disassemble the first printer. So get the first printer up, build the things you need, and then disassemble it to get the plastic out of it, and then build the electronic printer in its place. Just so to speed up time getting the turbines up and built. So for example, if I had a hard time finding silicon for some reason, although it doesn't seem to be that difficult, but if I did, then I just reused it. Now, the first sheet gets thrown into the input of the other printer, and you can't get it out until you finish building the printer. So it gets stuck in there. So I have a sheet missing, but unfortunately I can't build it because I'm missing a sheet. So I have to go ahead and print some more up. So that's why I have one extra printer, and once that's done with, then I'll have the extra, which I grabbed out of there. Okay, so now we have to cable it up. I always leave a gap of an extra small tile. That's so I can put a stacker in there later on. And play with our batteries. So this is a race. We got to get the power, improve the power generation. And need some copper. Yeah, early game mining in the dark is problematic because you really have to use your suit light, and you really can't afford the power consumption. So I think the key is for Rudal Europa is to mine the key things initially during the day, and then build the base during the night using the flares for light. See, it's dawn coming up here. It seems that nights are longer than the days, but I haven't really timed it, I guess, since it's all on videotape, or videotape, my age. Since it's all recorded, I can just go back and mark it and count it out, figure out if it really is or not. So here I am pre-setting it sort of in that direction, since I'm waiting for stuff to happen. It's useful, definitely set it up, because it gives that little bit of boost, and so I don't really spend too much time manually moving around, but definitely helps early on. Once I get enough turbines up and running, then I sort of ignore it after that. Now the cold does affect the batteries, but it doesn't seem to be that much. They will slowly drain, but it's not really that problematic. Okay, we got another. So we're gonna line them up here and run it across from the dark here. Turn my light on just to make sure I got it cabled up. All right, so that definitely improved our power situation. So now we have to crank out another one, keep that going. Sort of the opposite of Vulcan. Vulcan, you mine at night and build during the day, and Europa, you mine during the day and build at night. Yeah, it's daylight, but I still can't see the controls, so I flip my suit light on occasionally just so I can see the buttons. So what I do is I note the size of the ore when I start the furnace up, and then I count down to the number of needs. So if I need, like, for example, 2 gold, then I'll go ahead and wait till it goes 2 down and then stop it and pull those pieces out. Once again, we want to keep it all going here. Yep. So we got some daylight. Let's do a little mining here. Yeah, there's that coloring again. I said when I first started doing this, I didn't notice that, but now I do. So that's interesting. Definitely useful. Yeah, I want to do a short little blip mining so I can get back here and get that set up. And you see here, I don't really have time to be playing with the solar. So initially there's 2 things I have to accomplish. I need to crank out as many turbines as I can, and I need to build a small little room. So the room just requires 4 walls and a door. Well, 3 walls, a roof, and a door. And I have the base already welded in. Okay, I do play with it a little bit. Let's see, get to cranky. Oop, wrong way. Since I'm waiting for the printer to print, might as well adjust it a little bit. A little more oomph coming in won't hurt.
Power low.
Let's just keep feeding those printers. So I'm looking at what else it needs, and here we can do another printer, another turbine. Yeah, you don't need one frame per. You can cram them in there a little bit. The solar panel sort of disrupts the pattern, but we'll move all this at some point. So. Yeah, I tried this on Stationeers, but that's definitely a little too much. Specifically, your water consumption and O2 consumption are much higher, and that definitely makes it a little too difficult in my style of play, which is said, no lung damage and health is always at 100. Also, I use default suit settings. I don't mess with that. All right, we got another one. So as we crank these things out, it's definitely going to help. Okay, so now we need some walls, which means we need some iron. There's none there. There might be some iron in the other printer, but it's not worth stealing. Not that rushed. I got time to press. Here's a door. That's the key thing. So we'll put a manual hatch here. Fortunately, iron smelts pretty quickly. And I already have the iron sheets, so we're good there. Yeah, this kind of points out the aspect of not overbuilding too early. So, for example, I've not had to make any print any iron sheets yet. I'm still using off my initial scenario. So let me pop these in here. All right, so you have a place to hide now. Weld the door up. I want to get this printing if we can before I go hide. Need some copper. So in this case, I want to steal some copper. This is a little bit risky. Yeah, 34. I need a... Because what I'm doing is I'm smelting while running the printer. And the printer is the most important thing, so I hate to interrupt the printer due to smelting. Well, actually, I'm not doing it. Okay, so we turn that off. Put this in here. Turn this on. Okay, and that should be... Oh, it's going up. Good. Cutting this a little close, so we're going to hide in our little room here. So it turns out if you use 3 flares, exactly 3, if you light the flares first, and if you throw down 3 lit flares in this little 1x1 room, it will bring the temperature up in about, I don't know, a few minutes to over 0. Once you hit over 0, you won't take lung damage. And we just prep. All right, so basically I'm going to stand here and wait for the temperature to go up. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So waiting is about 2 minutes. although it seems like forever when you're sitting there standing there watching the temperature go up. I don't have any equipment to harness the gas in here, but when I think about Europa, there's no shortage of O2. Just got to warm it up a little bit. Okay, so we're over, once we're over 0 Celsius, then we can open up our helmet, eat and drink, no lung damage, no errors, no health issues. And the flares about now go out, and we'll crank it open. And good. Now, and also notice that our hydrations that hits 125%. Not sure why that's happening, but that's good. Just maybe because my hygiene right now is in a good state. Yeah, I haven't internalized all the changes in the beta. There's a lot of little things. I like it. I think there's a lot, seem to be a lot of little improvements, and the graphics in general seem better, clearer, sharper for some reason. Can't really put a finger on it, but it just seems it looks nicer playing than it did before. I am running on full settings, so I have a 4070 graphic card, and I run at I guess this is 2K. So I run it within a window. I don't run it full screen or anything. I run into a window, and I size the graphics so it matches exactly like 2K. So when I edit it and upload it, it's, you know, there's no scaling required, at least, you know, no fractional scaling required. I could technically do a 4K video, but I just don't bother. All right, so here we are. Smelting away. Our power situation is getting a little better here. And let's go ahead and crank down some more frames while we're at it. So that's done good. That's the last frame. Yeah, I'm going to move that furnace at some point. Once I build a pipe bender, I'll kind of put it over to the left of that printer. See what's going to cost. So it's nice we don't have to rush, you know, venting or anything like that on Europa. It's enough to get that one room warmed up with the flares. But I do need to go ahead and set up sort of a safe room at some point. And that means I need to get the pipe bender up and build some vents and pipes and all that. Yeah, I know about the technique of blowing the end of a pipe out and creating a vent, but I don't use that technique. I don't need to. I have more than enough time. Because the flares, I have enough flares. I use the flare technique twice, I believe. And after that, then I have a little room I set up with all the proper plumbing. So I swore I had a, I think looking around for something that might have fell off the base there. Monitoring that battery. Okay, and it's even going up with all that running. It's going up. So yeah, it's. Now I do have both chargers parallel to each other, so I'm not draining the large battery off. You know, not charging the small batteries from the large battery. They get a direct connection. to the main bus there. Let's keep this going since power seems to be a little doing okay now. So effectively just cranking out a bunch of, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to print some lights up here at some point and put those down. And just so I don't have to burn through all my flares. I wasn't sure how many flares I need. And I figured I'd lay down some lights. I can at least see. They don't have a large range and distance, but if I put one on each end of the base, then it helps. Okay, so we're cranking. Now we're going to have to move this out of the way. Now, obviously, I could put it somewhere else on the other end, but I don't want to. Yeah, that printer's slow. I think the electronic printer seems to print faster than the pipe bender. All right, that's what we want to see. It gets a little windy there. Nice power influx. Yeah, this just seems the nights are longer. So effectively, except for the one built-in solar unit, that's the only one I use. And at some point, I just disassemble it and just put it in a locker. And dawn is coming up. Wow. Fully charged large battery. That's what I want to see. So we get a chance to go through and make sure all the tools. Now you notice the tools will, even if you don't use a tool, they will slowly drop in power because of the coldness. Let's wait for that to smelt before we move it over. Kick out a few more iron frames while we're waiting. Yeah, I spent some time trying to find my welder. Yeah, still on my original 50 iron sheet, so that's good there.
Power low.
Yeah, that's trying to save battery power kind of hurts the video quality, unfortunately, but yeah, those silicon ones take a while to smelt from the furnace. Once you have the main furnace running, we're going to put this right here. I put them 2 small grids apart. I don't stack them, I always just lay them out. Yeah, you don't really have to. It seems like you really don't have to hide inside on Europa. Once you have a reasonable amount of battery power generation, you can just hang out outside. It doesn't really seem to impact anything because you don't have the heat, so it doesn't seem to be increase O2 or consumption. Not that I measured it inside and outside, but I think it's just mostly just the battery power being consumed to keep the suit heated. We do need a lot more cabling, though. That will come up. I kind of hold off making a stacker. So, and I had to print up some. We had the plastic from before that we made too many. That works out, but I had to make a couple more, so we have 4. Or is it 2? I think it's only 2 plastic. And we're just going to stick this right here. That's why I added the extra frame. So I can put that there. All right. So we're looking good. We got power seems to be a lot less of an issue. We got a little room that we can eat and drink, at least as long as our flares. So we got 12 flares left, so that gives us 3 per shot, so it's a couple more. So we're going to go out and do a little mining. That's a nice thing. Sometimes you get that little flashing for the gold there. Although that only seems to happen during like the dawn or evening type thing. When the sun's overhead, I don't notice the that flashing. Since we had a pretty good chunk of gold here, we just went for it and speed us up a little bit. Yeah, there's the coloring too. I just when I first saw that coloring, I just thought it was just the graphics the way it happened. But now that I see it, it's just when you see the coloring, especially for gold, whatever, just keep drilling all that out. So that's a really nice feature. I like that. All the batteries are fully charged. So while I'm at base, I like to only run on small batteries while I'm at the base. And then if I go off to any kind of extending mining, then I'll flip over to the large battery. All right, so the initial power problem is seems to be resolved. That's the tough one. We have a little room for eating, drinking that we can do a couple cycles before we have to do something fancier. So we need to get the mining done, crank out some components here. Now that we have our pipe bender, we can now build those. Oh, another one. Just keep cranking them out. Yep. Going down. Think if I could do a little quick little mine for something. Oh, right there. Copper. Now what I'm doing, I sort of look at the base and I look at the compass. So if it goes dark on me too quickly, I can just, head back at, I think it was like 210. Head back at 210 and get back to the base. I can pull up, I do have a tracker on me. Actually, I don't have the tracker cartridge with me. I think I still have that in the cargo unit. So I sort of eyeball it, and I'm not going too deep here. If you go deep, it's easy to lose sight of the sun going down. I've gone deep in a hole, and then you pop up and you go, no, it's dark.
Power low.
Since I was doing a short little mining run, I went ahead and just used a small battery. All right. We'll have to add some more frames here to add some more of these. Now I don't need to be as stingy with my light now. So let's throw some lights down, see if it doesn't help, if it helps a little bit. Still on the paranoid side. I can just not keep burning those things up. And we need more cable. Printing in the dark. This actually gets in the way because when I try to go around to put things in that printer, I keep colliding with the light, and I gotta kind of squeeze through there.
Power low.
Yeah, you want to keep those things turned off when you're not using them. The smelter still turned on. Oh, that's what I want to see. Fully charged, large battery. So make sure we rotate through all the small batteries, make sure they're okay. So at this point, we're pretty much overcharging, so we're losing power. Now, obviously, this depends on the wind flow. So. Need some more copper. Voila. And gold there. So I need to print another door. And what I'm going to do, my little room, I'm going to put a door. That little room will turn into an airlock. So I'll put a door on the other side of it. So I have the two manual hatches. And then I need to print up some more frames for the base. So I'm just going to create a little, besides the airlock, a little 3x3 room. It's not too big, and I'll put yeah, 3x3 seem to work out pretty well. It's enough room to put all the junk in there I need to. Yeah, I'm just sitting here, nothing else to do, so I'm just going to catch them as they come out, count them out. Now down the road, what you want to do is have a stacker, and then you put in just enough ore, or just enough ingots to make the number you want, and then you can just start it up and wander off and not wonder about, worry about printing too much of something. And then with a stacker, they all accumulate so they're not flying off into the air. So I could have just made this, my little room, just solid walls with no windows. That would have been a lot easier, but since things seem to be going well, I want to put some windows in there. I wasn't going to not go crazy with all windows, but at least put some in there so I can at least see around a little bit. All right, so the next problem I'll encounter is my O2 tank, which is no O2 tank was, except for the one on my suit, there's no other supply of O2 that was provided. Now the atmosphere is 100% O2, except it's too cold to just breathe directly. So there's a couple of solutions I've considered. Like for example, my little one room, you know, heat it up, right? So if I put in a tank storage unit and a pump, and or actually I don't need a pump. I can use an active vent for that. Hook it up. I could you print an extra tank off, and then once I warm the room up and I'm done, put my helmet back on, I could pump all that gas into a tank and just carry it with me. If I carry it with me, it won't get cold. So then I can just flop it. So next time I do that, I can do that. So that was an option. I do not go with that option, but it's something I considered. It seems to be pretty simple to do, but given my O2 consumption rate, I figured, well, I got time for something a little fancier than that. And worst comes to worst, I'll just use the single room and pump all the gas out. Because I now have my pipe bender, so I can make all those components. So my plan now is to make a little 3x3 room and then enclose it and then heat it all up with a furnace. Turn that, save a little power. This is the glass. I want to have some of the windows have glass. I think I printed more than enough. I think I only needed 6 of them, so yeah, a little extra there. Fortunately, I found a nice silicon. Didn't seem to be too hard. Nothing really seems to be too difficult to find. I mean, unless you're really looking for it, then it's hard to find. But just running around, I seem to find things pretty easy on the surface. So this is our little 3x3 room. And since this is going to be containing gas, I'm going to close it. It looks like the welder lasts a long time, so I don't really worry about feeling it yet. I gotta take this wall off and replace it with a door. Still trying to remember what goes what for disassembling. Know if they changed anything or not. There it is. Now the original video for this episode 1 was about an hour, so if it's a little less in the final cut, that's the sections I sped up a little bit. So the room is still useful if I have to go ahead and eat, drink. I just close both doors. Why do this? As I said before, I think I do the flare technique twice, and then after that, my room is ready to go. And nope, finally need some more iron sheets for all that. I actually put pieces up and take them back down again later on, so I didn't really think it all the way through, but not a big deal. I forgot how I do lockers. I remember that again. So. Go on, up there, yeah.
Power low.
So my old patterns are coming back. So I have the roof inside, the roof pieces inside the frame and the wall pieces on the outside. I think we got enough of these. Yeah, no stacker yet, so they go flying all over the place. Especially on this hill, they kind of roll down sometimes. Yeah, it just takes too long to make all this glass and too much silicon. But we have some windows, so. It is useful to have at least one so you kind of see what's going on outside.
Power critical.
Yeah, those, I like the lines going the other way, but I'm not going to go change it. 3%, down to 3%. That should be an achievement or something. There. Maybe 1%. Change battery at 1%. Okay, we got a full large battery. That's good. I'm running out of stuff here. I'm gonna do some more mining. All right, it's been about an hour of recording time, so I'm just going to do a few more minor things and then going to end this episode here. I figure it's good as place as any for the dawn. I'm getting prepped to go do some mining. So I'm running out of ore. I figure to start that in the next episode. Thinking, should I do something or... Yeah, we're out of iron, so we're kind of stuck until we do some more mining. Load that up. All right, so we're going to pose and let's get ready to go mining, swap the battery out, and we are done. Till next time, see ya.